Now next important topic is X-ray diffraction by crystals, study of the internal structure. जैसे किसी आदमी को कोई चोट लग जाती है हाथ पैर में या कहीं और जगह, तो उसको पेन होता है और वो सोचता है कि भाई फ्रैक्चर हो गया या नहीं हुआ, फ्रैक्चर माइनर है, मेजर है, मल्टीपल है, एग्जैक्ट किस जगह पे है। तो उसके लिए हम उसका एक्सरे करवाते हैं, एंड दैट एक्सरे गिव द इंटरनल structure, you can say, of the bone, and only then we can have, or a doctor can have an idea that whether the fracture is multiple or minor or major and at what exact location of the body part. Similarly, X-ray diffraction study is used for determining the internal structure of the crystal. So far we have discussed mainly external structure. So the external shape of a crystal could be seen with the help of an optical microscope. However, the internal structure, that is the exact position of each atom within the unit cell, could not be studied until the discovery of X-ray. Using X-rays, the different studies that have been carried out to understand the internal structure of crystals are briefly described below. 3-4 methods have been given. Out of those, mainly that is Bragg's method is there in the syllabus. However, other method, one is Law's method, another is powder method. We also discuss these methods briefly. So first method is Law's method. Max von Laue in 1912 made a valuable suggestion that if a crystal consists of a large number of atoms or ions arranged in an ordered manner and the atomic planes in the crystal were separated by distances which are of nearly the same magnitude as the wavelength of the X-rays, then if these X-rays are allowed to strike crystal, the rays will penetrate into the crystal and will be scattered by the electrons of the atoms or the ions of the crystals. The rays reflected from different layers of atoms due to wave nature will then undergo interference to produce a diffraction pattern. Diffraction pattern will be responsible for understanding the internal structure of a crystal. Just as it happens in case of light passing through a grating containing a large number of closely spaced lines. In other words, crystals should act as a three-dimensional grating for X-rays. These ideas of von Laue were put to experimental test and found to be true. So for the arrangement of Laue's method, these are the X-rays. This is the crystal which is under study, and when these rays, X-rays, are allowed to pass through this crystal, as we have discussed in the above lines, that these X-rays will strike on the ions or on the electron of the constant particles, and then due to striking of these X-rays on those electrons and ions, they will get scattered in different directions. And when these scattered X-rays are collected on a photographic plate, then that will give you a diffraction pattern. And such type of diffraction pattern, particularly in case of sodium chloride, is observed. These particles represent, these dots rather, represent the arrangement or the location of the constant particles in that particular crystal. So that diffraction pattern so obtained will give us the internal structure of the crystal under study. In the Laue method, continuous spectrum of X-rays called white radiations having a wide range of wavelength is used. The purpose to do so is that at least some of the radiations would have the proper wavelength to undergo interference. The method used is shown in figure this, and Laue diagram obtained for NaCl is shown in this diagram B. Such diagram confirm the definite arrangement of atoms in the crystals. This is a particular pattern. Say this is a definite pattern, then this diffraction pattern, this diffraction. A slight disturbance can be there, that may be due to experimental error. Otherwise, that is having a systematic arrangement of the constant particle. Then the Bragg's method, that is the most important method for examination point of view and for the study of crystal structure, internal structure of a crystal. The principle of Bragg's method, Bragg's method for study of internal structure of crystal is based upon Bragg's equation, and that equation is 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. Usually the question is there, derive Bragg's equation, that 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda, where the symbols have their usual meaning. So this Bragg's equation may be derived as follows. A crystal may be considered to be made up of a number of parallel equidistant atomic planes as represented by the lines x, x dash, y, y dash, z, z dash. अभी हम diagram show करेंगे. Suppose a beam of X-ray is incident on the crystal at angle theta. A part of the beam, for example the ray AB, is reflected at the end B along the path BC. On the other hand, some rays like DE and GH and many more penetrate into the crystal and are reflected by the atoms present in the atomic planes y, y dash and z, z dash. ब्रैग्स इक्वेशन के डेरिवेशन के लिए ये जो डायग्राम है ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि इसमें कुछ चीजें हम जो डिस्कस करेंगे इसकी ज्योमेट्री से, तो वो बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट चाहे उतना ना हो, लेकिन अपेरेंटली ये ना हो कि हम कहीं कहेंगे कि भाई जेई इज इक्वल टू ई के और जेई ई के से डबल दिखाई दे रहा है या 3 टाइम्स दिखाई दे रहा है. ऐसी ज्योमेट्री या ऐसा डायग्राम कम से कम नहीं होना चाहिए. तो अभी जो हम बात कर रहे थे, लेट अस कंसीडर दैट various planes of the crystal x, x dash, y, y dash, z, z dash, which are equidistant, and that distance between the two planes is say d. Here also that is d, and these dark circle represent the position of the constant particle in the crystal structure arrangement. And now from here, incident X-rays are allowed to strike on the crystal, are allowed to strike on the constant particle of a crystal. Then this ray AB say strike over this constant particle and is reflected along this path BC. But it is not necessary that all the rays will just reflected from the upper surface of the crystal. This ray DE enter or penetrate more, and it is reflected from this point E along the path F. GH further penetrate and is reflected through point H along the path HI. These are the angle of incidence theta. From the diagram it is clear that this angle of incidence of all the rays which are parallel to each other, and these planes of the crystal are also parallel, so this angle will be, all theta angle will be equal. Say now BJ and BK are the perpendicular. Then we can see that this ray AB and DE, the starting point is same and they are reaching at the same point. It is at C and it is at F. Now there are two possibilities that these rays, reflected rays BC and EF, either can be in phase or they can be out of phase. In phase means the crust of the wave falls on the crust of the other wave and trough on the trough of the other wave. Then they will be in phase, and then their amplitude will combine together and will give you the maximum amplitude. On the other hand, if crust falls on the trough falls on the crust, then those rays will be called as out of phase, and then they will have minimum amplitude. So these two rays either can be reflected rays, can be in phase or out of phase. But when these rays are in phase, then we will get a brighter diffraction pattern or brighter X-ray diagram. Therefore, we will see that this ray AB and this ray DE, this ray DE has to travel an extra distance from up to here it is equal, after that it is also equal, so it has to travel an extra distance equal to JEK. From here JE and then EK, so you call it as JEK. This extra distance will be traveled by the second ray DE, so as to reach or as to be in phase with this ray ABC. So we can say that evidently as compared to the ray AB, a ray like DE has to travel a longer distance equal to JEK in order to emerge out of the crystal where BJ and BK are perpendicular down on the lines DE and EF respectively. The reflected beams like BC, EF, etc. then undergo interference with each other. If these reflected rays are in phase, as I have said just now, that is in the reflected rays, crust fall on the crust and trough over the trough, they reinforce, means they add together into each other, and the intensity of the reflected ray is maximum. On the other hand, if the reflected rays are out of phase, that is crust fall over the trough, the intensity of the reflected beam is very low, and if a photographic plate is placed to receive, here a photographic plate is connected or put there to receive these reflected rays, then to receive the reflected rays, diffraction pattern is obtained. Now from the geometry of this, it is obvious that in order that the reflected rays BC and EF may be in phase, the extra distance JEK traveled by the ray DEF, as I have said that this ray DEF has to travel an extra distance from JEK to K, so as to reach simultaneously with the ray ABC. This is possible only when if this extra distance JEK is an integral multiple of the wavelength lambda. So it is obvious that in order that the reflected rays BC and EF may be in phase, the extra distance JEK traveled by the ray DEF should be an integral multiple of the wavelength lambda of the X-rays used. That means the distance JEK should be equal to n lambda. N can be 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and lambda is the wavelength of the X-rays used. So this extra distance should be an integral multiple. If d is the distance between the successive atomic planes, it is obvious from the figure again that JE is equal to EK is equal to d sin theta. हमने कहा कि भाई ये इनके बीच में जो स्पेसिंग है that is equal to d. Here it is up to this is d, also between these two planes it is d. So we have said that this BE JE is equal to EK and that will be equal to d sin theta. Sin theta जो होगा that will be equal to perpendicular over hypotenuse. So JE upon D. जैसे अगर हम इसमें लें ये जो चीज है आपके पास either JE और EK. JE, this is a triangle BJE. We want to calculate this JE. This JE will be equal to perpendicular over hypotenuse. So this perpendicular is this BJ and hypotenuse is this BE. So this JE will be equal to d upon sin theta, or ek is also equal to je, so that will also be equal to d sin theta, and je plus ek is equal to jek, so that will be double of this d sin theta, so jek will be equal to 2d sin theta. और हमने फर्स्ट इक्वेशन में लिखा था jek the extra distance should be equal to n lambda, so comparing equation first and second we get 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. So this equation is known as Bragg's equation, in which d is the spacing between the planes of a crystal, theta is the incidence angle of X-rays, n is an integer 1 2 3 4, and lambda is the wavelength of the X-rays used. This equation is called as Bragg's equation. It gives us the conditions under which the reflected beam will have maximum intensity. Using monochromatic X-rays, lambda is constant also for a particular crystal. When a particular face is facing the X-rays, d is constant. Hence, n will be integer only for certain values of the angle theta. Thus, by gradually increasing the value of theta, जिस एंगल से हम एक्सरेज को स्ट्राइक कर रहे हैं वो हम चेंज करते चले जाएंगे और आपके पास जो इक्वेशन है कि 2d sin थीटा इज इक्वल टू n लैम्बडा, तो हमने कहा कि एक पर्टिकुलर एंगल जब थीटा से वो रेज एक्सरेज उस क्रिस्टल पे स्ट्राइक करेगी, देन दैट इक्वेशन विल बी satisfied. 2d sin theta will be equal to n lambda, and that will give you, say, the first maxima. Then we keep on changing the angle theta because the d and lambda, they remains constant for a particular experimental condition. So once again, when the value of theta is equal to a particular angle, then that will again satisfy that equation, and corresponding to that n will be equal to 2, and likewise n will be equal to 3. We will get first maxima, second maxima, third maxima, likewise. So here n will be integer only for certain values of angle theta. Thus, by gradually increasing the value of theta, a number of positions are observed corresponding to n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., where the reflected beam will have maximum intensity. For other values of theta lying in between, the reflected beam will have intensity less than the maxima. So we can calculate the condition for maxima. Thus, a different pattern will be obtained in which the various maxima correspond to n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. These are respectively called diffraction maxima of the first order, second order, third order, and likewise. Measuring the angle theta at which the first maxima occurs, so that n is equal to 1, and knowing the wavelength lambda of the X-rays used, the value of d can be calculated using equation third. Means the interplanar distance is d. एक जो क्रिस्टल लेयर होगी वो दूसरी क्रिस्टल लेयर से कितनी दूर पे होगी, that can be calculated using the Bragg's equation, that is 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. And this is the just an experimental setup. You can just go through, there is no need to explain this experimental setup. Just this is the production of X-rays here, and then those X-rays so produced will strike on the crystal taken over here, which is fixed on a rotating table, and then the diffraction pattern so obtained will be observed over here. Now, by simultaneously rotating this rotating table, you can change the position of this crystal by which the incident rays, X-rays, are striking with different angles, and you can keep on observing continuously that as and when that maxima is observed, and whenever that maximum intensity is observed, that can be recorded over here. You will note down the value of angle theta. Then further change the angle theta, and you keep an eye on the intensity of the reflected rays, and when maxima is observed, again note down the value of angle theta, and likewise. So X-rays are just description of this experimental arrangement. X-rays are generated in the X-ray tube A. These are made monochromatic, means only by passing through a filter. Only X-rays of a single wavelength are made to strike on this crystal after passing through the slit L to obtain a fine beam. This beam is then allowed to fall on the same particular face of the single large crystal C, which is mounted on a turntable T. The turntable can be moved over a circular scale S. This is the circular scale, as I have said, circular scale S. The reflected beam is passed into the ionization chamber D, which is connected to an electrometer E. The ionization chamber can also be moved on the circular scale S independent of the turntable T. The chamber contains some easily ionizable gas such as sulfur dioxide. Greater is the intensity of the reflected beam, greater is the ionization produced in the gas, and larger is the reading on the electrometer. So we can note the reading when the maximum intensity is there, and therefore by changing the angle theta we can observe different value of say theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 corresponding to first diffraction pattern, second order diffraction pattern, third order diffraction pattern. There can be numerical problems also on the basis of this Bragg's equation. Another method, just we go through this method, that is powder method. This is the simple method for studying the X-ray diffraction by crystal. It was developed by Debye and Serrer in 1916 and independently by Hall in 1917. In the Bragg's method, a single large crystal is required, which may be sometimes difficult to obtain. This you can say it is the limitation of Bragg's method. And moreover, it has to be rotated about a suitable axis, whereas in this method, the sample is taken in the powdered form in a small thin-walled glass tube and no rotation is required. Of course, the tube is rotated to ensure that the crystallites in the powder are randomly oriented. A beam of monochromatic X-rays is focused on the sample and a circular photographic film is placed around it, as shown in figure here. Since in the powder the crystal planes of different small crystals are oriented at all possible angles to the beam, there will be always some crystal which will have the proper orientation to produce diffraction maxima from all the planes simultaneously. Thus, a large number of concentric cones will be produced due to the reflection from different sets of planes and satisfying Bragg's law. क्या कहा इन लाइंस में, वो ये कहना चाह रहा है कि जब हम ब्रैग्स मेथड यूज करते हैं, देन वी रिक्वायर ए क्रिस्टल ऑफ कंपैरेटिवली लार्जर साइज एंड फॉर मैनी सॉलिड्स sometimes it is difficult to have such a large crystal. One thing, and another thing is we have to keep on rotating that crystal by different angles throughout the experiment. In case of powder method, they say that not a large crystal is of the sample is required. We take just powder of that crystal substance. And one more thing, because the radiations or X-ray beams will strike simultaneously on the powder by different angles and they can be reflected simultaneously, so need not to rotate. You will get the whole 360-degree rotation automatically, and then the calculation of result can be easy. So the arrangement for powder method is shown over here. These are the X-ray beam. Then after passing through the slit, here the specimen or the powder of the crystal is taken, and then this is the cylindrical camera which takes the or record the photographs at different angles simultaneously, and therefore we will get such type of a film, or you can say diffraction pattern of X-ray beam at different angles. Each cone will meet the photographic film at 2 points, producing 2 lines or arcs at equal distance. ये एक जैसे कह रहा है कि ये कोण बन रहा है आपके पास, and this will cut this film or lines at 2 points. Thus, a large number of lines or arcs will be obtained on the photographic film, each pair of lines being equidistant on the right and left from the center spot. जैसे ये इस तरह से यहाँ पे शो कर रखे, this is the center spot, एक ये आर्क और एक ये आर्क, ये पूरा अगर हम करेंगे तो ये एक स्फीयर बन जाएगा. फिर उसके बाद ये आर्क एक पर्टिकुलर एंगल पे, उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग ये, एंड लाइक वाइज. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ डिफ्रैक्शन पैटर्न अगर हम इसको कंप्लीट करें तो ये इस तरह से सर्कल बड़ा होता चला जाएगा, और बड़ा और बड़ा, और फिर आखिर में ये इस तरह से बहुत बड़ा सर्कल आता चला जाएगा. दिस टाइप ऑफ डिफ्रैक्शन पैटर्न विल बी ऑब्टेन्ड. फर्दर, इफ द इंसिडेंट एंगल इज थीटा, this is the incident angle. If this is theta, then this reflected angle will be 2 times, that will be 2 theta. So if the incident angle is theta, the reflected beam makes an angle 2 theta with the direction of the incident beam as shown in figure. An approximate idea of general diffraction pattern of the powder may be shown in this figure. Now for calculation part, after getting the X-ray diffraction pattern of the powder, the next step is the indexing of lines, assigning Miller indices of the planes responsible for producing these lines. For this purpose, the distance x of each line from the center of the spot, ये जो आपके पास है, this is the central spot, और इससे इसकी डिस्टेंस या इसकी डिस्टेंस या इसकी डिस्टेंस, दैट इज से x. The distance x of each line from the central point is measured usually by making half of the distance between the 2 lines on either side of the center. If the radius of the film is r, the circumference will be naturally 2 pi r corresponding to a scattering angle of 360 degree. तो टोटल जब 360 डिग्री से रोटेट कर जाएगा, that will give you the circumference. So 360 will be equal to say 2 pi r circumference, and 2 theta will be equal to x. So 2 theta by 360 will be equal to x upon 2 pi r. Thus theta can be calculated knowing theta, the interplanar spacing can be calculated using, again we have to use the Bragg's equation. So once you know the distance of the 2 arcs in a powder diffraction pattern, if you know x, and then this angle theta can be calculated. And once you know the angle theta, using this is theoretically this Bragg's equation can be used to calculate the interplanar distance. Then crystal structure of sodium chloride and potassium chloride. These 2 structures are in your syllabus, which are almost identical. X-ray diffraction studies of NaCl crystal shows that it has face-centered cubic lattice, FCC. We will be showing it in the diagram. In fact, this structure consists of 2 interpenetrating face-centered cubic lattices, one composed entirely of sodium plus ions and the other of chloride minus ions. The chlorine lattice is displaced a by 2 along any edge of the cube. This structure is further supported by the fact that its unit cell contains 4 sodium plus and 4 chloride minus ions. Keeping in mind the contributions made by corners is 1 by 8, face center say 1 by 2, or edge center say 1 by 4. and body center it will be 1. Now another thing, KCl also has face centered cubic lattice similar to that of NaCl, in which sodium atom have been replaced by potassium atom. जहाँ जहाँ भी सोडियम होंगे वहाँ हम पोटासियम रख देंगे, then it will become potassium chloride. It is interesting to point out that though NaCl and KCl have similar structure, their diffraction pattern are remarkably different. This is important. This is explained on the basis of the fact that X-rays are scattered by the electrons and different atoms or ions contain different number of electrons. जैसे आप सोडियम प्लस आयन और पोटासियम प्लस आयंस तो ले लिए हमने, वो एक दूसरे की जगह रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं, लेकिन डिफ्रैक्शन पैटर्न जो है that will depend upon the number of electrons present in that particular ion, and as the number of electrons present in sodium ion and potassium ion, they will be different, though the chloride ion is common, but due to number of electrons, different number of electrons present in sodium ion and potassium ion, that's why sodium chloride structure and potassium chloride structure will give you different diffraction pattern in case of X-ray study. Hence their scattering strengths are different. Greater the number of electrons, greater is the scattering strength. Moreover, the waves of the X-rays scattered by anions interfere with the waves scattered by cations, and depending upon orientation of the ions, the reflections may be in phase or out of phase. In case of NaCl, the number of electrons in sodium plus ion is less than that in chloride ions, and therefore their scattering strengths are different. But in case of potassium chloride, both potassium plus and chloride minus ions contain the same number of electrons and their scattering strengths are equal. Thus, when out of phase, the scattering strength of sodium plus and chloride ions do not cancel out because they are having different number of electrons. They do not cancel out completely, whereas in case of potassium and chloride minus ions, the cancellation is complete. The ions in KCl, therefore, all look very similar, and instead of appearing to be face-centered cubic, the powder diffraction pattern obtained is similar to that of primitive cubic unit cell. So here the structure of sodium chloride and simple structure of potassium chloride are shown. In case of sodium chloride structure, this is rather more simpler form. Otherwise, we can say that all the sodium plus ion will be present at the each corner of the unit cell and at the face center. All the 6 face center will be occupied by sodium plus ion. And then chloride minus ion will be present at the body center, and all the edge centers will be these. On all the edge centers there will be chloride minus ion, or it can be vice versa. Means सोडियम प्लस आयन जहां है वहां क्लोराइड माइनस आयन हो सकते हैं, जहां क्लोराइड माइनस आयन है वहां सोडियम प्लस आयन हो सकते हैं. So this is the structure for potassium chloride and this is the structure for sodium chloride, almost similar to each other.